Hello, my friend, and thank you for being here. Thank you for giving your time, and thank you for choosing to listen to a message that has the power to change your thinking, your direction, and maybe even your destiny. This is Value Edge, and today I want to talk to you about something powerful, something that millions of people see happening in front of their eyes, but very few understand deeply. People see Indian immigrants coming into countries like America, Canada, the UK, Australia, and they watch something unusual happen. These immigrants arrive with almost nothing. They start from the bottom, they work jobs nobody else wants to do, and then somehow, in just one generation, sometimes even in a few years, they climb into the top earning groups of the entire country. They build businesses, they buy homes, they educate their children at the highest level, and they raise sons and daughters who become doctors, engineers, CEOs, scientists, lawyers, and entrepreneurs. People say it's luck, people say it's timing, people say it's because they're many in number, but that's not true. It's something else, something deeper, something internal, something psychological, something cultural, something rooted in values and mindset. I want to break that down for you today, not just so you can understand them, but so you can learn from them, because knowledge is not meant to flatter you. Knowledge is meant to shape you. And if you want success in your family, in your career, in your life, then learning from people who are already doing it is not optional. It's necessary. Indian immigrants become rich and raise successful kids, not because the world gives them an advantage, but because they create an advantage inside themselves. They don't start ahead, they start behind. But they carry something inside them that turns disadvantages into strengths. And that is what builds success. Every immigrant leaves their country with fear, but Indians leave with purpose. They come with a mission. They don't travel for tourism, they travel for survival, for opportunity, for transformation. And when a person ties their vision to survival, that person becomes unstoppable. This is where their power starts. When an Indian immigrant arrives in a new country, they almost always begin with humility. They do not complain about the job they get. They do not complain about the society. They do not say, I deserve more. They say, I will earn more. And this difference in attitude is massive. Most people want the reward before the struggle, but Indian immigrants accept the struggle because they know that the struggle itself is the path. They do not demand comfort early. They demand growth. And growth comes from discomfort. In the first year of immigration, their entire mindset becomes laser sharp. They know they cannot afford to waste time. They know they cannot afford to stay lazy. They know they cannot afford to get distracted. Their backs are against the wall, and when your back is against the wall, you don't need motivation, you need courage, and courage makes people build things others can't even imagine. They work 2 shifts, sometimes 3. They save every dollar. They live in shared apartments. They sacrifice comfort. They sacrifice their own desires. They sacrifice the illusion of status because they see a bigger picture, their future. And when a person sees the future bigger than the present, that person becomes a long-term thinker. They don't spend on pleasure. They invest in progress. But the real magic starts in the home. The immigrant home is not a normal home. It is a school. It is a temple of discipline. It is a training center, and it is a battlefield where emotional strength is built. Children in these homes grow up hearing things that reshape their identity. Do your homework. Focus on your future. Don't waste time. Don't give excuses. Education is your weapon. Discipline is non-negotiable, and success is your duty. These words enter the child's mind like seeds, and over time, those seeds grow into the roots of confidence, resilience, and ambition. Immigrant parents do not talk to their children casually about life. They talk strategically. They explain pressure. They explain sacrifice. They explain responsibility. They explain that life is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be meaningful. They don't say, follow your passion at age 12. They say, become capable first, passion will follow later. And that is exactly how capability is built. When you grow up in an environment where survival, ambition, and responsibility are daily topics, you cannot grow up weak. You grow up strong, you grow up disciplined, you grow up focused, and that is the foundation of intelligent children. But this is not the whole story. There is something deeper, the concept of family honor. For many Indian families, success is not individual. It is collective, it is shared. The father sacrifices for the son. The mother sacrifices for the daughter. The son studies for the future of the family. The daughter succeeds to raise the standards of the entire lineage. This creates a cycle where no one wants to break the chain of progress. Everyone becomes part of a shared mission to rise. When a child sees both parents working day and night, they cannot remain careless. They develop guilt if they fail and pride if they succeed. But it is not toxic guilt. It is meaningful guilt. the kind that creates responsibility, the kind that builds character, the kind that shapes maturity. Indian immigrants do not raise children with entitlement, they raise them with duty. They do not say you are special because you exist, they say you will become special if you earn it. And that difference completely changes how a child grows up. There is another thing. Indian households are filled with structure. There is routine, there is timing, there is discipline. Sleeping late is not normal. Wasting time is not tolerated. Talking back to parents is not rewarded. School is not optional. Homework is mandatory. Reading is encouraged, and being average is not celebrated. Children grow up with the message, do your best or do better. The world today promotes comfort, shortcuts, validation, and emotional excuses. But immigrant families promote clarity, consistency, discipline, and resilience. And discipline is more important than motivation. Discipline outlasts motivation. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is destiny. Then comes the most powerful element, the value of education. Indian immigrants treat education like a currency. They treat education like insurance. They treat education like a shield. They treat education like a path to stability. And they train their children from early on that academics matter. Not because the child must become a doctor or engineer, but because education shapes thinking, improves reasoning, builds structure, and teaches the mind how to focus. A focused mind is a powerful mind, and a powerful mind becomes a successful adult. Education in immigrant families is not about marks, it is about mindset. When a child grows up studying for years, that child builds patience. And patience is needed for success. They build problem-solving ability. And problem-solving is the foundation of opportunity. They build discipline. And discipline is the root of wealth. People misunderstand success. They think success is talent. They think success is luck. But success is mostly consistency. And immigrant families train consistency better than any motivational speaker, any school, and any system. Another powerful factor is community. Indian immigrants build networks. They help each other find jobs, file paperwork, apply for universities, start businesses, and navigate the new society. They share knowledge, they share mistakes, they share strategies, they uplift each other, they compete, but they uplift at the same time. This creates a chain of rising people, each generation stronger than the last, but then something even deeper happens. They transmit identity. Indian children grow up with stories of their culture, their roots, their history, their values. They grow up hearing about resilience, sacrifice, spirituality, discipline, and honor. They grow up with grandparents telling stories about responsibility. They grow up with parents teaching humility. They grow up with a community that reinforces respect. And when respect, discipline, and identity combine, the child stops seeking validation from the world. They already know who they are. Children who know who they are do not get distracted easily. They are not confused. They are not lost. They are anchored. And anchored children become grounded adults. This is why they succeed. But there is more. The financial mindset. Immigrants do not spend on unnecessary things. They save aggressively. They invest early. They avoid debt. They live below their means. They choose security over show. They choose assets over fashion. They choose stability over trends. They choose long-term wealth over short-term pleasure. This creates a home atmosphere where children see financial responsibility every day, and observing responsible behavior creates responsible behavior. Immigrant children grow up seeing the value of money. They grow up seeing the pain of earning money. They grow up understanding the importance of managing money. And that creates wealth-building adults. Success is not a one-time event. Success is a lifestyle, and immigrant families practice that lifestyle daily. But now we go deeper into psychology. Indian immigrants carry a mindset built over hundreds of years of culture, philosophy, spirituality, and survival. The mentality of accept reality and improve it. Not complain, not blame, not run away, but face, adapt, and grow. They believe struggle is normal. They believe suffering has meaning. They believe effort shapes destiny. They believe responsibility creates strength. They believe sacrifice is honorable. They believe family is sacred. They believe success is earned, not gifted. When a child grows up with these beliefs, they become unstoppable. If you ask an Indian immigrant parent, what do you want for your child? They don't say fame. They don't say popularity. They don't say validation. They say, I want my child to be capable. And a capable person can become anything. Now let's talk about self-image. Children of immigrants grow up seeing their parents work hard and win. They see them survive challenges, they see them grow from nothing, and that creates a powerful belief. If my parents can do it, I can do more. This belief becomes fuel, it becomes ambition, it becomes fire. But perhaps the biggest secret, Indian immigrant homes value internal confidence, not external noise. They do not tell their children, you are perfect. They tell them you can improve. They do not tell them you are enough. They tell them you have potential. They do not give them false praise. They give them honest direction. This builds humility and ambition at the same time. Humility keeps you grounded. Ambition keeps you rising. The combination creates greatness. Now let's get even deeper. Indian immigrants are not afraid of hard work because they grew up in environments where life was tougher than anything they face abroad. They saw real problems, they saw real hardships, they saw real scarcity. So when they arrive in developed countries, they experience relief, they see opportunity everywhere, they see safety, they see systems, they see fairness, and they say, if this country gives me 1%, I will bring 99%. That is why they win. The average person in a developed country complains about work hours. The immigrant says, these hours are easy. The average person complains about bills. The immigrant says, at least the electricity is stable. The average person complains about taxes. The immigrant says, at least the roads are functioning. The average person says, life is unfair. The immigrant says, compared to what? Perspective is everything, and immigrants carry powerful perspective. But now we enter the heart, the immigrant promise. Every immigrant makes a silent promise before leaving their homeland. I will not waste this opportunity. And this promise drives their entire life. It shapes every decision. It guides every action. It keeps them focused, disciplined, humble, and hungry. People who carry a purpose inside them cannot be beaten easily. But there is something else, the identity of achievement. Indian culture, generally speaking, respects intelligence, it respects wisdom, it respects effort, it respects discipline, it respects progress. When a child grows up in a culture that celebrates achievement, that child naturally gravitates toward achievement. This doesn't mean that every child becomes a doctor or engineer. It means that every child learns the psychology of excellence. They learn, do things well. Don't do them halfway. Don't do them casually. Don't do them carelessly. Excellence is a habit. Now let's talk about the second generation, the children who grow up abroad. They have one of the strongest combinations in the world, immigrant discipline plus Western opportunity. This is the formula for billionaires, leaders, and innovators. They grow up in safe countries with the mindset of tough countries. They grow up in wealthy societies with the mentality of scarcity. They grow up with access to world-class education while carrying the hunger of immigrant families. And when hunger meets opportunity, magic happens. This is why Indian immigrants rise, not because they are special, but because they create the conditions for success inside their homes. And now the question becomes, what can you learn from them? What can you adopt? What can you replicate in your own life? The answer is simple, everything, because these disciples are not Indian, they are universal. Discipline is universal. Sacrifice is universal. Ambition is universal. Responsibility is universal. Education is universal. Family values are universal. Purpose is universal. If you want success, become hungry for it. If you want success, build discipline. If you want success, sacrifice pleasure. If you want success, take responsibility. If you want success, educate your mind. If you want success, create an environment around you that pushes you forward, not pulls you backward. Success is not an accident. Success is a design, and you can design it too. Learn from the immigrant mindset. Learn from their resilience. Learn from their hunger. Learn from their humility. Learn from their discipline. And learn from their long-term thinking. You can become anything. You can rise from anywhere. You can build a new life. You can rewrite your destiny. But you must become the kind of person who can handle success. And that comes from values. It comes from structure. It comes from clarity. It comes from consistency. It comes from identity. And it comes from purpose. This is value adage. And I want you to understand one thing clearly. Your background does not define your future. Your habits do. Your thinking does. Your discipline does. Your decisions do. And if you adopt the mindset of people who rise from nothing, then nothing can stop you from rising. You have the power inside you. You have the potential. Now you need the discipline. You need the courage. You need the hunger. And you need the willingness to sacrifice today for a better tomorrow. Dapor is your moment. This is your opportunity. And this is your time to rise.